Now that the NFL draft is over and you've seen, hey, who's the big winners, who's the big losers, like you've seen everywhere, right? There's certain things now that the dust has settled and you can look back at what went on over the last 4 days that are things that I loved what teams did direction-wise for different things, and I couldn't stand what teams did.
Okay.
All right? So, for instance, I'll kick it up full of positivity. I'll kick you off with something first. Whatever the Colts did after getting Anthony Richardson is irrelevant, because they did exactly what they had to do. And you know the Colts are wild cards. Hey, guys, what do you think? Should we go take Will Levis in the second round? What do you stop, get Jim Irsay off of Twitter. But Anthony Richardson provides identity and direction, and that's what you want. Because for the last two and a half years, it was, who are the Colts? What are you really trying to do? We're masquerading as a Super Bowl team. We think we're a veteran quarterback away, so it's Phillip Rivers. Nope, not Phillip Rivers. Okay, no, it's Carson Wentz. We're Carson Wentz away. Nope, we're not Carson Wentz. We're Matt Ryan away. Nope, we're not Matt Ryan away. And now you're not a good team. And your window is closed. I feel bad for Jonathan Taylor. He's going to run the next couple of years in a little bit of obscurity. But what you did was you energized the fan base and you put your team in the direction saying, this is who we are. He's our guy. He's our franchise player. And sometimes there's a lot to be said for at least having that base of knowing who your identity is. It's this guy. It may take him a little while, right? May not be the starter right away, but we have identity. We have direction. Whatever the Colts did besides that, irrelevant. They got the guy they needed. They got the guy that's going to sell tickets with the highest ceiling of any quarterback. That was a great move.
I like they did what the Titans did as well. The two teams combining to select 3 Northwestern guys. So positivity there. But
you can't just like that because they take Northwestern guys. You can't just do that.
No, but what I can.
No, but you can't. But you can't just do that, though.
Is it anything any different than any other jackass has done? Oh, Aaron Rodgers now a Jet. This is the greatest day in the world.
Oh, sure. Well, there you go. Okay.
I mean, guys have made full shows out of it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So I can do what I can make it my own thing here.
Yeah.
You know, when Evan Hull got drafted, I went,
Yeah.
When Adebawori got drafted, I went,
Yeah.
No, but
I'm just thinking of Aaron Rodgers still. I'm not thinking of your guys.
But legitimately, right? You take 4. I mean, they had a lot of picks. That's the other thing that the Colts had at their disposal is that they shored up a lot of pieces. Bunch of offensive linemen, work in the secondary. You look over at Tennessee, and yes, obviously they take Skoronski with their first. But the bigger thing is they went all offense. So it's like, all right, we're going to match up. You're looking down in Jacksonville. And you're seeing what Doug Peterson and what Trevor Lawrence and company have done. Calvin Ridley's coming off his suspension, right? He's going to be back and remember what he was once upon a time in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. So it's like, all right, how do we match up? Indianapolis, a lot of defensive players early. Now, there's a mix of offensive linemen and a bunch of other things to shore up the roster as a whole. But early on, it's defense. We're going to fight you, and we're going to meet you at the path. For Tennessee, it's like, all right, we're gonna lean into the offensive side of the ball here. Mike Vrabel zagging when you would think he was going to zig, and again beefing up your O-line. And as of now, Derrick Henry hasn't been dealt.
As of now, you never know.
No, but that's
Henry,
the thing, right?
Dalvin
There's
Cook,
still
sure,
a lot of things that can go on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Arizona, for as much as they've pushed away the idea that Baker or DeAndre Hopkins are going to get dealt, tomorrow's another day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you still have people in the building. You know, they got the slap on the wrist because of the tampering nonsense, illegal contact, and Philly fans all mad. He wasn't committed to the Super Bowl, and Gann and everything. But he didn't meet with the press. Like, they went the whole draft period. He didn't answer a single question about anything. So you still have potential chaos there, right? Even in Buffalo, they now add Latavius Murray. Curious.
Another running back. Another running back. Again,
right,
about running back.
But not a guy to go push
back.
into like a high-level running back. It's a guy who shows up and has a game or two. Like we were talking about James Harden earlier in the show, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you can get a couple of big games out of him. But that third week in a row, are you getting it? Probably not. Probably not, which means whoever is left on the roster with him is going to need to roll up. But I like the AFC South shaking up, so they can't just be the regional matchup nobody wants to watch.
Jags Titans.
There is some firepower.
Oh boy, we're gonna get that. Biggest gamble that I like.
Okay,
the Falcons going all in on Desmond Ritter. Like, they have spent the entire offseason saying, he's our guy, and everybody else has spent the entire time, no, come on, but really, who do you like? No, come on, who's going to be your quarterback? Are you going to go out and try to trade for more? No, we like Desmond Ritter. Yeah, no, I know, but come on, you're going to get somebody else, right? He's not going to be there. No, we like Desmond Ritter. They have gone all in on surrounding him with all kinds of talent, right? They have 3 really good running backs, right? You have, hopefully, Kyle Pitts, a return to form. You have a lot of weapons there. And you hoping Drake London really breaks through this year. You have a lot of young weapons, and you're entrusting it all to a guy who, are you really sure about him? You can't say you are. I mean, I like what I saw. He had 4 starts basically at the end of last year, and what I got to see of him, I kind of liked. He didn't turn the football over. Mm-hmm. No interceptions in 4 games. That's pretty good. And he moved. He got better every game. His best game was his final game of the season, which, teams are playing with different levels of intensity, but you're playing that last game against Tampa, who was, hey, we got the division title and everything else going on. So I'm okay with the gamble, but boy, it doesn't mean it doesn't give me a lot of pause going, because you just put a lot of weapons around a guy where you're hoping that he's the guy. He wasn't somebody that was a top 5 pick as a quarterback. He's someone, hey, we really like him a lot. Okay, you better. I mean, like I said, I'm good with it because I liked what he showed at the end of last year, but boy, that's a really big gamble.
Yeah, I'd look at, and we talked a lot about Houston, which is why I didn't put them in the AFC South conversation. You can find the podcast of what we did round 1 last week. Download it, give it 5 stars, wherever you get your audio. We'll love you forever. Mother's Day is coming up. Give out the iHeartRadio link for our show. I mean, it's the best gift you can get. Get one of those cool cards that, has a pop-up of Jason and my face. And then here's the link. It's a gift that keeps giving. Mm-hmm. Or you can go to the Broadway channel. And
you said GIF, not GIF or GIF.
No, I said gift.
Ted, some people say call it GIF if they do. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, the other thing, a little bit on the Seahawks. Right? Now, whether Witherspoon's the guy that you go get, he's an interesting story. Didn't play play football till late in high school, and now he rises from an Illinois program that actually had a number of guys drafted this time out, right? Mm-hmm. So the program finally turning it on its head a little bit. But when we look at adding another member to the secondary, but then still being able to come back at 20 and getting Jackson Smith and Jigba to add to that receiving core. Geno Smith, we might be doing a lot more
I'll tell you, man. Look, I'll be honest with you.
Year.
I told you the first day of the draft, I liked the Raiders, right? Into the first 2 days, I love what the Raiders did. I might like what the Seahawks did a little bit more. You got 4 impact players in the first 2 rounds, and you clearly know we need to get better, right? This is a team that was pretty good offense, pretty good defensively. It's not like, well, we were great on defense, we need offense. No, you still need to continue to improve. You help the offense in the first round, you help the defense in the first round, second round. I may like the Seahawks draft the most out of anybody. They got some of those picks back.
But look at the 2 running backs that they grabbed, though.
Yeah.
Because you come back and you get McIntosh in the 7th, big wild card, but a guy that was at Georgia.
Well, one thing if you're Seattle,
given the given.
Yeah, one thing in Seattle, your running backs will get hurt, so you need to make sure. Okay,
which is why Rashad Penny's not there anymore. It's like he's healthy enough; he's going to pass the physical. You want him?
They have a lot of weapons. You're talking about 3 really good receivers. This is they're
interesting. They added depth to their defensive front. I mean, they did a lot of good things, and we talked about it last year with their draft. You had a number of impact players. Obviously, Geno was a guy we didn't know if he was going to win the job. We talked about it a lot, right? There was Drew Lock and Pete Carroll did a good job of politics and talking out of both sides of his mouth in terms of who he liked. But Geno comes out and plays really well. But you had a number of players from that 2022 draft that were impact guys. And it went back to once they excised Russell Wilson from the building, they went back to the guys that used to draft. It was almost like they were able to pull out the old whiteboard and whatever they did that worked in 2012, 2013, and 2014 and went back to that identity of the players that they were looking to build this team around. Guys with a little bit of a chip on their shoulders, guys that felt like they were underdrafted. All right, Jackson Smith and Jigba, even at 20, right? That's still 7 or 8 slots than he was on most mock drafts.
Well, and also, and if he had a healthy senior year, is he going in the top? Last year, is he going in the top 7? Of course,
100%. Yeah. So you go through all that. It's just good to see Schneider and Carroll back to drafting and crafting their team in that image. And the fact that we get to say Gino, and I get to hold up pictures of him as a Jet once upon a time, it's good.
Man, I'll tell you, Seattle, they really got. I mean, they might have my favorite. Them and the Raiders probably have my 2 favorite drafts. Now,
you just love the Raiders.
I do. I want to say good things about them because they're not my never.
Are we going to go back out to Las Vegas again? Is that what you're banking on?
When the Jets are in the Super Bowl, yeah, we're going to be out there in Vegas.
Is there anything nice to say about them?
No. I like their draft. That's what it is. I like the draft, and I like the city.
Poop fest.
Wow, look at you.
Their draft.
Yeah.
City's great.
Yeah, city's. Yeah, and you got to see Gabe from The Office when we were out there doing shows during the Super Bowl.
Oh, hey, Gabe.
I thought he was going to come and murder you.
That's a long line, Mike.
Now,
get in line, take a number.
For the last thing, let's stay in the AFC West and talk about the champs because the Chiefs
Chargers
didn't do. Sorry.
Oh, you mean the Chiefs?
Yeah, the Chiefs didn't do a lot to help out their offensive situation, right? They didn't get any wide receivers. Honestly, it doesn't matter because look at what happened last year. They said goodbye to Tyreek Hill and they won the Super Bowl. Right, so I mean, it's what are you gonna do?
I hate to say I told you so.
What are you gonna do? You bring in, you make it work for a year with Juju Smith-Schuster, and suddenly then Kadarius Toney comes in, and how are you winning with these guys?
Here's a little bit of Sky Moore. It's pieces. And
you're throwing
opportunities and
it's 15.
wrinkles.
It's 15 catches for 185 yards and 2 touchdowns for Travis Kelce every week, but you are just sprinkling it around to the rest of the wide receivers. So what happened? Am I worried this year? Oh no, McCall Hardman. I mean, I like the fact the Jets got him. McCall Hardman's gone. Smith-Schuster, but doesn't matter. They're going to replace them with guys who are going to catch passes, and Sky Moore is going to play a little bit more. Maybe Justin Ross is healthy. He's working out a lot with Patrick Mahomes. Remember, he would have been a first-round pick if he didn't get hurt the last couple of years in college. He was hurt last year, so I am not worried at all because Kansas City remade their offensive system last year. And it worked, and they got to do it again. Okay, I'm going to trust Andy Reid and Mahomes that they know what they're looking for in wide receivers. They can make it work. So, yeah, they didn't bring in any wide receivers. You would think, they need to do it. They need to do it. No, they don't. They'll be just fine.
Yeah, they brought in one guy, right? Rashee Rice. That's it, right? Second round. Otherwise, left it alone. Bring in more pieces for your defense. Obviously, there's always the question, as I do after every draft and going into every season, I want to make sure I got 5 guys upright, particularly when I've got so much money invested and I know how important Patrick Mahomes is. Like, there are some teams where obviously you've got a number 1 quarterback, but maybe you've got a system, you've got personnel to where, okay, they can dip, right? We watch it with San Francisco. And it's not to say that we go into the Brock Purdy effect, which is what it's being called, hey, let's keep drafting quarterbacks. But the idea that you run an organization to where a next man up thing can happen. Most organizations haven't had that. I mean, think of all those years. Chargers didn't do anything behind Rivers. Pittsburgh had a guy that just held a clipboard behind Ben Roethlisberger and then occasionally would have to go in for one play when he was injured, and then he'd see any level of success and he'd sprint back on the field. So you had all that. You didn't address it. Now you do. But the offensive line is always the thing to watch, and we watched it with the Chiefs a couple of years ago when Mahomes was running 500 yards sideline to sideline. So that's really the one thing that needs to be locked tight. Otherwise, at wide receiver or tight ends, in addition to Travis Kelce, next man up. As long as they fit the suit, they'll fit the system.